Hello everyone, this is Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about some severe weather with flooding rains as the heat will build out west and then cooler conditions will filter in from the northeast, as well as watching the tropics for next week. So if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get started. Good morning, everyone. This is your June 11th update. And man, we had a nasty squall line that came through last night. And much of the Dakotas, it was pushing 70, 80, at times 85 mile per hour winds with it, with a lot of severe weather. And that'll move through. And it's weakening, fortunately. But we still got all these yellow boxes here. That signifies all your severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently. And that's pushing off into Minnesota. But it will eventually weaken over time as we go throughout the morning. We do have some rain showers up here into Seattle and Portland as the rains return for them with kind of daily rain showers. And then we have some frost advisories, some cooler conditions in northern parts of Nevada this morning. And then, a lot warmer down to the south where it's been really muggy, where they've been dealing with that very high humidity. But today, here's the watches and warnings map and your hazard map. Yeah, it's going to be brutal out here in the desert Southwest in California and much of Arizona with excessive heat warnings, even heat advisories in much of Texas and much of Oklahoma. We've got those high wind warnings still taking effect into portions of Montana as well as the Dakotas this morning as that squall line is moving across. But out here, another big story is going to be out east is your flood watches, where we've been dealing with that pesky upper level low for like a week and a half now. And that's going to be moving off into the Carolinas, into Virginia's with flood watches for today with some very heavy rain. So if we take a look at the map for Friday, yeah, you can definitely see those rain showers moving into the Pacific Northwest with Washington and Oregon picking up some just sporadic showers throughout the day. We've got high pressure that's going to be dominating for much of the west here. That squall line will start to subside out here into the Dakotas, but we are going to be looking at a pocket of some severe weather that's going to be popping up later on this afternoon into the daytime heating hours and portions of Kansas as well as Oklahoma ahead of a cold front that's going to be moving across for the deep south. And then there's that heavier rain that's going to be impacting much of Virginia, much of West Virginia, parts of Ohio with some flooding rains coming up for later on today. And in fact, the Weather Prediction Center has already highlighted that moderate risk again. We had back-to-back days of higher risk, and now we're looking at a moderate risk for flooding rains in this area where it's been proven itself to put down multiple inches of rain in a short amount of time. Now that'll be parked over West Virginia and parts of all of Virginia here with that very heavy rain. And we do have a pocket down here into Mississippi and Alabama as well we have to be concerned about with those flooding rains, and we'll probably see some flood warnings as we go through later on this afternoon. But as we transition into Saturday, the heavier rains start to subside. The severe weather starts to calm down a little bit. We do have that cold front that's going to be pushing down into Oklahoma. It could leave an outflow boundary. There's a small chance some of this rain could filter into the Red River counties, push in maybe into the Dallas-Fort Worth area if it produces an outflow boundary, this time of year. But that scenario is not that likely. But the main story is going to be just these sporadic rain showers going to be pushing across into much of the southeast as we're dealing with that kind of a soupy air mass with these higher dew points in this area. And the Pacific North flow still strong out here with those daily showers in Washington and Oregon as we go throughout the weekend. So as we transition to that Saturday, you can definitely see we still have some of those heavier rains around, but not nearly as strong as it was for much of the week. Now we're dealing with a marginal risk for excessive rain, and this is going to be the last of it. So after this pushes across, this will be the flooding rains will tend to come down after this, as this will continue to push off up the coast and say goodbye to that upper level low that we've been dealing with for look like, almost a week and a half, if not 2 weeks. But by the time Sunday rolls around, the story returns to the heat. It's going to be brutal in much of the country, and much of the west of the heat dome will just expand over portions of the west here. We still have that flow in the Pacific Northwest. That doesn't go away until probably the middle of next week. But we just have that sporadic showers, as we're going to be watching the Gulf of Mexico down here as an upper level as a low pressure system could possibly move into the Bay of Campeche and then possibly form into a tropical storm. So we'll be watching that. It's going to take its sweet time all throughout the week, but it's going to be building over time. We'll have to be watching this as it moves up into the Gulf as we go throughout the week. But yeah, the main story, by the time we get to Monday, I mean, this heat just expands and deepens and just really builds over much of the west here. A lot of records are going to be starting to fall by Monday with heat records. We're talking one teens in a lot of these places in the desert Southwest, pushing easily triple digits for much of the west. As another big story, as we have this trough that's going to be coming in from the northeast, that's going to bring some much cooler conditions for them, as we're again watching the tropics down here into the southern Gulf by the time Monday rolls around. But there's your high temperatures on Monday. You can see the bullseye down here into the desert Southwest with those one teens for much of Phoenix and Vegas and much of the Southwest here, pushing triple digits back again into Montana with 103 degrees. Low to mid 90s for much of the midsection of the countries, which is not that unusual for this time of year, because this is now summertime. But yeah, what is unusual is this cooler conditions are going to be filtering into New England with much of widespread 70s for much of Maine, much of Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, getting into Massachusetts, much of upstate New York and Pennsylvania. That's going to feel really nice coming up on the day on Monday with those cooler conditions. They're going to be filtering down. There's a setup as far as the precipitation goes on Monday. Like I mentioned, a lot of this will be subsiding as that trough will be over much of the northeast. Yeah, you do have some showers. They're going to be underneath those clouds during the day. So yeah, you're going to be picking up those cooler showers in that area, as again, that Pacific Northwest flow is still active for much of the week until about Wednesday, and then the taps kind of shut off. But down here to the south, you can definitely see down here these darker greens where we're going to be starting to see some of the action that's going to be moving into the tropics, and it's going to take its sweet time, but it's going to be sending spokes of energy throughout the week. So we're talking increasing rain showers for much of Florida as we get into the week, and then especially along the coast as this will get further northward as we go throughout the week. But there's your ridge by Tuesday, and that's, I think, when it really starts to max out over much of the Southwest with that deepening ridge. I mean, it gets dangerous, folks. I mean, some of these temperatures could be pushing 120 as in much of the desert Southwest, and places like Yuma, places like Death Valley, probably about 125. So that's some serious stuff out there. But yeah, easily triple digits as this trough will start to even deepen further and bring even cooler conditions for much of the northeast. There's your rain showers under that trough, and for much of New England, there's precipitation pulling a little bit further north. So yeah, we could be starting to look at some showers into southern parts of Brownsville, into Houston, along the coast here into Cameron, Lake Charles, New Orleans, Destin, Florida Panhandle. All these areas along the coast could be looking at some of those showers moving in as this low will get a little bit closer. That's coming up on Tuesday as we transition to those high temperatures. There's the setup, man. 105 now in Montana. That's some serious stuff. Cranking 106, easily a lot of triple digits showing up, and a lot of these records will be falling in this part of the country. But where that trough is, where those rain showers are moving in much of Washington and Oregon, it's going to be feeling really nice. So yeah, you can definitely see on the corners here, that's your nicer weather with those cooler conditions coming up on Tuesday. But as we transition to Wednesday, yeah, you can definitely see that will finally kind of move off. The trough will be kind of clearing things out. We start to dry out in much of the Pacific Northwest. And the main story by then will be down here in the Gulf, where we see those darker greens now showing up. And these rain showers will continue to push a little bit further northward as we go throughout time during the week. But yeah, there's your high temperatures on Wednesday. I mean, it just doesn't go anywhere. It just deepens even further into much of the Southwest. We still pretty nice and chilly for much of this, or cool for this time of year. I mean, 75. No one can complain about 70, 75 degrees. You know, up here in Pennsylvania, much of Ohio, much of West Virginia, much in Virginia, getting along the coast here. So this is going to be feeling really nice with those showers around coming up on Wednesday. There's your setup for Thursday. It just really starts to clear out, pretty severe clear as this ridge just really deepens even further by then and really takes a grip over much of the west by then, as the story will be down here to the south into the Gulf of Mexico, where we just have that whatever might come out of the tropics with that low or possibly storm by then. We'll just be watching that throughout the week. So as we transition into your precipitation, there's the setup, and most of this rain is going to be falling between now and say Tuesday for much of the Washington and Oregon here, especially along the coast, where that ridge is. Much of the west, it's going to be severe clear, and that's going to be your hottest temperatures. And where that moves across that pesky upper level low in the beginning stages, you're going to have those heavier rain showers, and then that will tend to subside. And then down here in the southeast, we'll just have those daily sporadic showers throughout the day, as the main story will be a lot of that precipitation. I mean, look at the rains down here, 20 inches in much of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. So there's a lot of precipitation with this particular storm, and as this will build and deepen over time, we'll just have to watch this throughout the week, and especially as we get into next weekend of if and where this might go for much of the parts of the south. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.